to find such a beautiful place, but War makes it up. The blue door.
Yes, we are in Alfheim in God of War. I have been so stoked to play this game. This is still very early in the game, but it's pretty. It's so pretty, and I am enjoying the crap out of this game. If you hear me suddenly, like, wince or suck air in, it's because... Thank you, Binky. Binky is attacking my hand while I'm recording this. Yes, Binky, rawr. But, I am a strange God of War player because I just like to beat the snot out of things. So you will notice in this gameplay that I take a lot of damage early on, and then I get my shit together and start playing a lot better. My gameplay improves as Kratos' health meter reaches 0. I don't know what it is about God of War. That's just the way I play. Now, part of it is because after you've been away from this game for a while, you forget how to play a little bit. The combat, I really like because it's complicated. There's a lot of different options when approaching a battle. Of course, the amazing R3 attack, which I still like. Stabby, stabby. All right, so good. I am a fan of the violence. I don't care. I am not ashamed. That was moving the microphone, that weird sound. But, yeah, I'm really enjoying this game. So I wanted to show you guys a bit of it just because it's awesome. And there are so many different feels. This isn't an official review. You guys will get an official review later. This is a work in progress thing. This is just sort of, hey, here's a bit of the splatters. It is, I guess, slightly less cartoonishly violent than the previous games, but I'm cool with that. I love that freeze and then punch into oblivion attack too. I like that a lot. You heavy throw the axe, which freezes them, and then you go and punch them in the face multiple times. Or their elf man boobs, whichever you prefer. Yeah, it is less sort of ballet of blood. Rage of the Gods, so excited. I like it because it's an older, humbler, slightly slower Kratos, which I think is kind of cool. Just because, you know, at the end of the God of War trilogy, he got stabbed in the chest with a really large, powerful sword. And that has consequences. So you're seeing right here a little bit of the puzzle solving that's in the game. There is some really kind of clever axe throw puzzles in this game that I like very much. And there's just some breakup from the combat, which is good because you do need breathers because it is pretty intense. Here's some more dudes. The combat is not a walk in the park, and it's not button mashy, both of which I enjoy. It is quite tactical. You see me kind of figuring out what the hell do I do? How do I take these guys on? That's kind of the game. Kratos keeps telling his son, you know, accuracy over speed. And it is true. You have to learn to block. You have to learn to do the range attacks. The mechanic where Atreus, Kratos' son, uses his bow to sort of stun enemies is neat. And the combat balance is really well done. I am so impressed. You have to use a bunch of different skills. Nothing feels overpowered yet. You have to mix it up in combat or you get dead fairly quickly. There's a lot of dodging. There's a lot of blocking. It's not power gaming, which is something that a lot of people don't realize about the God of War franchise. No, you don't just go in and kill dudes with very little skill. You guys know I don't like it. I don't like it when you seem to be doing a lot, but you're not doing very much. The combat feels meaningful, and I like that a lot. But the story is really good too, and I'll get more into that when I finally do a full review. But the relationship between Kratos and his son is interesting and complex. And the interesting thing is the whole game, these journals and stuff like that that you're looking at now, are told from the point of view of Atreus, not Kratos. And that makes sort of the ludonarrative interesting. In the previous God of War games, the idea was sort of Kratos was being controlled by the gods. And so, you know, you were a god controlling him as well. And the POV was sort of above, so you were looking down on him. So he was this crazy, awesome, powerful warrior who was sort of dwarfed by his environment. And there was this sort of smallness about it that was wonderfully ironic. In this case, you'll note the camera is kind of at butt level because it's from the kid's perspective, which is kind of odd for me because Lilo and Stitch, the Disney movie, used the same camera trick. They did it all from the perspective of a kid. And so that sort of low camera angle is, I think, very deliberate. And the son writes the journals, the son is controlling the narrative. And I find that very, very interesting because it's a story of Kratos told through his son. And it's a son that is very different from him. But what is interesting, like I said, it's a slower, older, more humbler Kratos. And one of the things I find so interesting about this game is that Kratos is illiterate in the Fulkalk runes, the Fulkark. I always mess that up. But the Nordic runes that are strewn throughout the game. He speaks and reads Greek, assumedly. So I guess he speaks the local language, but doesn't read the local language. So he has to rely on his son for that, which is an interesting bit of design. And there's this sort of, you'll see this thing here. The kid's reading, not Kratos. And there's this interesting sort of, Kratos is still very much a badass, but he's sort of more aware of the consequences of what he did in past games, and he's much more hesitant to sort of embrace the violence. You get the real sense that he wants a different path for his son. Of course, his son thinks he doesn't even like him at times in the game, which is very realistic. They're very different people, and you really got the sense that the mom, Faye, was the critical, the primary caregiver, so to speak, in her son's life. And I also get the sense that there's more going on with Faye than people think. At the beginning of the game, I think she's sort of controlling the action, and that's really consistent with the character of Kratos from previous games. He may be a great soldier, he may be a great warrior, but he's never really in control of his destiny. Other people set that for him. And I think that is so cool and so different, and I love this game a lot so far. I'll keep you posted, but this is your little Patreon-only preview, because I am rewarding myself for finishing Lady Bits episode 7. I'm very happy with the response, especially Lonnie Reeder, the woman who worked at Atari, sent me a really glowing message after she watched it. She's going to share it, all that stuff, so she liked it, which makes me very happy. Kind of a fangirl moment, like, oh cool, someone whose work I like likes what I did. There's that move again! I love that freaking move. I love that like so much. It's like, ah, you're kicking my ass. No, freeze, and now I punch you in the man boobs. Like that a lot. Dark elves, for me, are just strangely satisfying to kill. I don't know why, it just is. Get him, Kratos. And there's Atreus helping out in sort of a stun move. He sort of jumps on their backs and like holds them while Kratos just punches them. It's cool. The combat is really cool. It feels new. There are elements, it feels familiar and new at the same time, and I think that is super, super cool. So I'm gonna stop here because you don't need to watch more. You'll see more next week as I do more sort of official, sort of smarty pants God of War content. I'm gonna get into more of what sort of the intersection of Kratos as individual and sort of Kratos as an embodiment of a particular kind of masculinity. I'm going to talk about that next week, once I play more of the game, because I want to be sure. I have my theories right now, but I'm not entirely sure, and I want to be sure. So, alright, thanks for watching and indulging me. Stab!